All right, so today is June the 22nd, 2022. And I want to thank everyone for coming here. This is our whole life healing program with Dr. Alex Loyd and Dr. David Peck. But we are going to be discussing All Lives Matter. That's a program within our whole life healing program. Before we hear from the doctors and you today, we're going to do the Trilogy and Healing Code to address a particular area. I want to share this disclaimer. This presentation is for education and informational purposes only. And since we're going to be talking about issues of health and well-being, we wanted to make sure that you understand this information is not intended to heal or cure anything. Everything in the presentation are the opinions of Dr. Alex Loyd, Dr. David Peck, myself, or maybe even you if you share. You should always check with a licensed healthcare provider about any specific health concerns you may have. So that's our disclaimer. So it's all yours, guys.
Thank you so much, Johanna. And thank you for being here. We know that we have more and more people, and quite a few that are accessing this call. Most of them do it by recording, or you might call that, I guess, a podcast, sort of, rather than live, which we understand. Everybody's schedule is crazy. And last week we had some kind of special heightened response in a good way to what David shared about the loss of innocence and how huge a deal that can be in everyone's life. And I know it was a huge deal in mine, and I've talked many times about how I felt confident and like a good person and innocent and all of that before I went to school. And then I went to school and started being made fun of, and my innocence was lost. And I mean, till for many decades it was lost. And it was a huge deal to me. I can't even tell you the anguish that came with, instead of feeling innocence, feeling guilt, condemnation, and shame. So keep those comments coming. And by the way, last week, one person wanted to speak personally with someone about those issues. They were such a big deal to them, and we facilitated that. Don't think if you respond to us that we're not going to respond to you. We will, okay? We're not looking at this as a business. We're looking at it as a mission, at least I am.
Yeah.
And our hope and prayer is that over about a year, we can help 1 million to 1 billion people develop emotional well-being to a much greater degree than they've had it before, and then pass it on. And all of it is for free. We will not charge a penny to anyone for anything, okay? And we don't want you to follow us. We want you to join us. So, David, I'm going to turn it over to you to speak first this week about our topic issue that I think is a fantastic one. And then I'll add a Post-it note to that or something, but go right ahead.
All righty. Thanks, Alex. So this week's topic is passive aggressive behavior. And this is basically a symptom of rejection. And we've talked about rejection and systemic rejection issue. And this rejection is in the category of kindness. So in the healing code system are the categories, the 12 categories. One of the categories is kindness. And this is the category that deals with rejection, that also includes abandonment and attachment issues. But one of the main symptoms that comes from having been rejected, either, in various forms, is aggressiveness. So, I wanted to, just highlight the whole concept of passive aggressive. And my story basically is related to my son. And one of the stories, but we lost Anna, my wife, to mental illness about 10 years ago. And then eventually she physically died of lymphoma about 2 years ago now. But the boys were young, you know, they were 9 and 11 actually when she left. And so as a result of that, you know, I was single fathering them basically, but, you know, the absence of the mother is a huge issue. So Wesley did develop some anger issues, you know, aggressiveness. And thank God, you know, those have all cleared up. But, you know, clearly it was, I think, related to the rejection. And Bub, my younger son, kind of had an opposite. It was more of an apathy, not caring. But in any event, so, but the passive aggressive, the reason I wanted to get to passive aggressive, I wanted to hear more from Alex actually about his thoughts on this, you know, because I see, you know, quite a bit of, you know, passive aggressive behavior. And I'm wondering, is there a difference, first of all, between passive aggressive and active aggressive behavior from an emotional standpoint, you know? And then, you know, that's the one thing. And the other point I just wanted, you know, that the passive aggressive behavior is often covert and difficult to identify. And so I wanted to make the point of that really it's all about intention rather than the actual act. So, you know, those are just, you know, some general thoughts that I had, and you know, really wanted to hear Alex what you had to say about, you know, the whole topic.
Okay, sure. But that's a great thought you had there. My 2 cents is the kindness category is also the safety category, meaning if there's a problem there, there's typically a feeling or an emotion of I'm not safe, either physically or emotionally. And emotionally sometimes is worse than physically. Okay, so don't discount that, because sometimes that's worse. All right, but it's one of those two. And what we're talking about is when something happens that makes you feel and believe I'm not safe, and my worth and value as a person is being challenged. I'll give you a couple of examples, okay? Well, before the examples, all of you've heard of fight or flight, okay? And all of you've heard of shock, okay? Shock is just kind of an extreme form of fight or flight. It's when the trauma is bigger to the point that the unconscious mind almost completely shuts off your conscious mind, will, and emotion. That's why someone's just been in a car wreck and they've survived, but now they're sitting on the ground by the car wreck waiting for the paramedics and stuff. And the paramedics get there and the person is just sort of staring, just kind of glassy-eyed. And the paramedics immediately know they're in shock, and they'll do something like this. Alex, your name is Alex Loyd. My name is David Peck. You were just in a car accident. You're okay. We're going to take care of you. And then they would bring a blanket and put it over me, because when you're in shock, the blood goes to different places, and all of a sudden you're freezing cold, and even if it's 100 degrees outside, okay? But this is an extreme form, or it can be extreme or not so extreme, of fight or flight. Okay, so what happens with fight or flight? You know this too. 3 things: fight, freeze, or flee. Okay. Well, as you talked about, David, active aggressive is fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, active aggressive is fight. Passive aggressive is I'm either not the fighting kind, or I think these people would beat me up, or I just don't want to fight or something. So then it's either the passive side is either freeze and just sort of fetal position myself, cocoon myself, and try to survive until this is over, or run. And I typically ran. In kindergarten.
Wait, but
yeah,
Alex, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
What
go
about
ahead.
like say you're in line or something, you're waiting in line, and the person in front of you for some reason doesn't like you or something, and
Yeah.
they take longer, or they wait, just to make you wait, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's as I see, that's an aggressive act.
Yeah.
That's the passive aggression.
Right.
Yeah.
That always comes from either inferiority or superiority. Okay. And it always comes from pain. Pain demands action. It doesn't matter if it's physical pain or non-physical pain.
Okay.
Pain demands a response. It demands action. And if you're traumatized, if the pain is part of a trauma, then you're either going to fight, freeze, or flee. Fighting is the aggressive type. Freezing or fleeing is the passive. Okay. But here's the thing. Because you're traumatized on some continuum from extreme to slight, because you're traumatized, if for whatever reason you are not if it's not passive to you, but it's aggressive, so you're the fighting type, okay, then you're going to fight. But if for some reason that's not you, or it's not you in this situation, for any reason, then the odds are probably 95% you're going to do passive aggressive. So in other words, you're going to try to get that person back somehow, but not in the aggressive way. In either the I'm cocooned. So what might that be? I'm trying to make you feel guilty. Okay, I try to make you feel guilty. I try to make you think it's your fault. Or maybe I go to the people around. Did you see what he just did? What a jerk. He just took longer on purpose. Did you see that? And maybe I do. I get 2 or 3 other. Hey, yeah, that wasn't very nice of you. And now I feel good. I've got people on my side attacking him, but I manipulated it. I'm the one that, and here's the deal. The healthy thing to do is this. Either one of 2 things. So he takes longer on purpose, and I feel myself starting to get edgy, whatever. I would say 2 healthy possibilities. Number 1, just start praying. All right. Father, help me. This guy's doing this. I think he knows he's doing it. And I don't want to either be aggressive or passive aggressive. I'm trying to live in truth and love here. Please help me do that. Okay. So that's the first one for me. The second one is speak the truth in love. So the second one is hey, sir, sorry to bother you. But I don't think you would be trying to take longer on purpose, but it seems like that, I don't understand why it's taken so long.
Just call it out. Yeah.
It's look the person dead in the eye. And smile and speak the truth in love. Yeah. And after you speak it, you keep looking them in the eye until they respond. Okay. And I'll tell you, most people, when that happens, they can't take it. They can't take you looking them in the eye because they know they just did something that they should not have done. Okay. And you called them on it, but you called them on it in a healthy way, and they can't deal with the healthy way. Okay. Now, maybe I've seen this happen a few times too. You do that and the person calms down, and then before you get out of the grocery, they are grabbing you and saying, hey, I really appreciate the way you handled that with me. I I wish I could do that. And all of a sudden, you're in a situation where you're like, goodness gracious, this whole situation has done a 180. It's gone from a really bad situation to a situation that could even bless me and bless the other person too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when you deal with it the right way. It tends to be a blessing to everyone, even if they don't see it right away. Okay. So for me, my response to rejection, which is one of the worst pains you can ever go through, was usually to flee, to run away, laugh, ah, yeah, that's funny, and then go home and cry or whatever. Not anymore. Now, I will confront it in truth and love every single time, because I know this is what's going to heal it for me, this scenario, which could be an ongoing trauma if I had not dealt with it in a healthy way. And it's going to be what's best for the other person, whether they know it or not. So it's an act of love because I'm doing what's best for them too. So that's my 2 cents, Dave.
That's awesome. Can I just get your reaction to
Yeah.
one more? Okay, it's not exactly related, but I wanted to bring this up because it was just on my mind, whatever. But so, people talk about the concept of, oh, choose to be positive. Just, you have to choose to be positive, right? And what I like to say is that that's not that easy, or it's almost impossible when your emotional triggers are acting up or being flared, being triggered. And so
right.
The key is it's not that easy to say. So when I hear people saying that, I'm like, no, you say, oh, I'll choose to be positive, but it's the minute I get triggered, I'm not going to be able to just suddenly choose.
Yeah,
so anyway,
but Dave, that's why you might need to do the codes for 3 or 4 months.
Yes,
To get to where you can respond that way, because
exactly.
I didn't used to respond that way either, Dave. I mean, that's been since I've healed my stuff,
Right,
that I can now
right.
respond in truth and love.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So, should we go to the?
Yeah. Go right ahead, Dave.
Okay. So we're going to give you the process, the healing code, and the trilogy for this issue. So, we begin with the intention prayer that we pray, we request that all destructive, negative cellular memories, unhealthy habits, addictions, false limiting beliefs, and any relationship issues related to passive aggressive behavior as a symptom of rejection.
Yeah.
Be found, opened, and healed through love, light, truth, and God.
Amen.
Okay. And before we start, can I just say one more thing that was on my mind? I'm sorry, but I have to bring up the fact of crime bill and incarceration of inner city males, et cetera, breaking up of the family through, basically incarceration, and the effect that had, and how that could have contributed to widespread aggressiveness and anger in underprivileged populations like the inner city African American population.
Yeah, right.
So, through truth, love, light, and God. Okay, so the first position is left hand temple, right hand bridge, healing the rejection and any passive aggressive or active aggressive behavior. Second position, both hands temples now, both hands temples. Third position, left hand jaw, right hand temple. Fourth position, left hand Adam's apple, right hand bridge. Okay, next cycle 2 again, left hand temple, right hand bridge. Both hands temples. Left hand jaw, right hand temple. Left hand Adam's apple, right hand bridge. And back to left hand temple, right hand bridge. Okay, that completes 2 cycles.
Okay, let's move into Trilogy, custom Trilogy, starting with acupuncture points, temples, collarbones, little finger, temples again, eyebrows, thumb, under the eyes, middle finger, sore spot, index finger, under the nose, collarbones, under the arms, middle of the chest, chin, and 9G. Eyes open, closed, open, eyes down to the left, down to the right. Circle your eyes, circle them back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Left hand brain stem, right hand forehead or prefrontal cortex for about 60 seconds. Slow, deep breaths from the stomach. Relax. Don't try to do anything. If anything, just try to get out of the way and let your body and mind do it. They know exactly how and what to do. right, let's activate governing and conception vessel 3 times in a row, please. 3 times. Calms the central nervous system. And by the way, any of these components you can use by themselves as well as with the Trilogy. They're more powerful in Trilogy. All right, and then let's do custom healing centers. Start with throat. Please open and harmonize. Heart, please open and harmonize. Forehead, please open, harmonize. Base or root on the pubic bone, please open and harmonize. Crown, please open and harmonize. Under the belly button, please open and harmonize. Middle of the stomach, please open and harmonize. Both hands over the heart. Slow, deep breaths. Let the code process. Check it again in 30 minutes because it works at 100% for 30 minutes. By the way, it can work for weeks, but it works at 100% for 30 minutes. And when you're ready, take a look at your 0 to 10, make a note of where that is to either do another one or come back later, and that's where you start. I did want to share before we run out of time, the 14th and 15th studies have been published relative to the healing codes in Trilogy. The 14th was a comparison of the healing codes in Trilogy to cognitive behavioral counseling and therapy, which is the most popular kind of counseling and therapy. What the directors of the study found, and this is published right on the site, and you can find all of these on our main site, the studies themselves, as well as the links. What they found is that the codes worked consistently better with subjects than the counseling and therapy. And then the 15th study is another double-blind study finding that the codes and Trilogy work on, I believe it was lifestyle issues, improving lifestyle issues. So there's now 14 double-blind and 1 comparison, all published in the US, Europe, or the east of the world. And they're all right there on our website. So feel free to check those out, share them with a friend. The double-blind studies, what do we call that in medicine and science? We call it proof. Okay, so and again, there has never been a double-blind study in the history of counseling and therapy. It would be unethical. You'd have to give the control group the wrong advice, which is unethical. So did want to let you know about that. So Johanna, we've got a minute or two here. I do anyway, if we have a quick question. If we don't, that's okay.
Okay, so we do have one hand up. If any of you on the phone would like to ask a question, press *9 on your phone. So I'm going to unmute this line, and it's Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, go right
Yes.
ahead.
Okay. My question is with regard to the passive aggressive. What is it when a person is an aggressive person, but doesn't act the aggression because of the consequences? Like, for instance, they want to hit a person, they don't because they could end up, police could be called, or if you're driving a car and you're angry and you don't hit the car because that's kind of, so you're really aggressive, but you're forced to be passive. What actually is that?
Yeah, what that is really, I'm sorry.
176.
I'm sorry, let me turn that off. what that is to me is it's even worse for the person because now they're bottling it up. So if they do that long enough, eventually they're going to blow, which may be cancer or heart disease or a heart attack or something like that. So really the only difference there is that because they don't want the consequence of their action, they're not going to do the action, but they still feel all the same negative stuff inside, even though they don't do it. In fact, it may very well be worse from the bottling up thing. So it's really the same thing. It's just the person reins themselves back because they don't want to suffer the consequences, which is, again, self-interest. But yeah, really the same deal, just a different behavior because they don't want to have to deal with the repercussions.
Can I just mention one thing that's slightly related? Okay, it's slightly related. It's not exactly related to your question, Marilyn, but I think it's just the idea of alexithymia, you know, which is what I used to be, and that's the person that's not in touch with their emotions. So that would be like, I'm not angry, you know, like be like, I'm not angry. Like if I got really angry, I'd be silent, basically. So I just wanted to say that's not being in touch with your, I don't know if, you know, if I realized that I was angry when I was being so quiet, but that's how I would react when I was quiet. I'd just be like silent.
Yeah, and what I would say about that, Dave, is there's some people who basically they are so emotionally in pain, they can't deal with hardly anything. So anything like that happens, they sweep it under the rug and think that's the same as cleaning the floor. Okay, it's not. Eventually that rug is going to blow up on them, but they just don't, they feel like I'm not strong enough to deal with it. So they just bury it. But those things never, hear me, never stay buried. And I apologize, I've got to run. Love you guys. Stay here. Johanna's here for custom codes as long as her internet doesn't blip out on her. Love you all. Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so there are some hands up. I don't know if you want to take questions, David, but I can. Do you want to?
I mean, I could try, but you know, Alex is, he's the emotional guru, not me.
Okay, well, I'm going to unmute Vicky. Your line is open. Do you want to unmute Vicky?
Hello.
Hi, Vicky. Yeah.
Hey, how are you? This is actually for a healing code. Is that okay?
Good.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, what would you like to? Oh, just a moment. Let me just fix one thing here.